Okay, Shavua Tov, welcome back. So we're continuing with Rebbe Nachman's letters, Bezrat Hashem, and it's a few reasons why we're doing these letters. Number one is to see how Rebbe Nachman was living Rebbe Nachman's lesson on simcha, on being besimcha. Number two, to emulate Rebbe Nachman by seeing how he talks, how he thinks, what he's saying, to emulate him as much as we can, because he's giving us a perspective of what's considered normal. In other words, the way he is talking and expressing, for us that's considered someone who's giving a normal perspective, because we're, especially today, that we're losing it so much with the society, technology and everything. We need a reminder of how normal people, normal Jewish people talk and act and think and say and everything. Just before I go on, I saw something unbelievable on Shabbos, something amazing. It was a Breslover who was the source of this idea. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yishmael says it's good that a person works and learns Torah. Yafet Talmud Torah v'derech eretz. And he said because a father should teach his son a trade so he can have a parnasa and learn Torah. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, I teach my son only Torah, and I spend my days only learning Torah, and Hashem will take care of me. So the Gemara says many people did like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and were not successful, and many people did like Rabbi Ishmael, and they were successful. So the lashon is harbe asu ke Rabbi Shimon. Okay, many tried to do like Rabbi Shimon, it didn't work out. So this Breslover, Rav Moshe Glidman, he's buried in Har Zeitim. They called him his nickname Chechsnover because he was from this village called Chechsnov. Okay, he was the brother-in-law of Rav Levi Yitzhak Bender. Him and Rav Yitzhak Bender, they married sisters of Aaron Kiblitcher, daughters of Aaron Kiblitcher, who was a Breslover Chassid. And he said like this, unbelievable. What does it mean, Harbe asu ke Rabbi Shimon? Many attempted to do like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, just to learn Torah and to daven and everything. He says something amazing. When you read stories of tzaddikim, and especially tzaddikim that you want to emulate, so you seek to emulate them. Say, Rebbe Nachman said to do this, okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, he did like that, I'm going to do like this also. You want to emulate as much as possible because you feel that these tzaddikim are saving your life and they're changing your life. So you do your best as possible to emulate them, which it's understood. The problem is, look what he says, harbe. When a person seeks to do a lot, like the tzaddikim, doesn't take a break. He's coming from 1980s rock music, pop music, 1990s, 2000s. He's coming from a very goyish background, and he's doing tshuva, and he's going into a new world. And the attitude is a person wants to jump in and grab as much. That's dangerous. When you jump in too much, you're asking for it. So he said like this, Harbe asu ke Rabbi Shimon. First of all, it's great to emulate Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Who doesn't want to be close to him and listen to what he says, okay? Many tempted and failed, but at least I want to try. So he says like this, when you try to grab too much at once, harbe asu ke Rabbi Shimon, v'lo itzlichu, it doesn't work out. When you try to do too much, you hear, tzaddikim said like this, okay, I'm going to do like this. He did like that, I'm going to do that. When you take on too much, you crash. That explains why a lot of people, especially people who enter Breslov, or a lot of Baal Tshuvas, when they have a big light, they just want to do everything. They're flying on lights, they want to do everything they can because they feel they have energy and koach, but they're asking for it. You got to know when to put the brakes. Hashem sends the person the brakes to the wife or the family. Hey, take it easy, I need you home, change a diaper, what are you doing this? Going out to the forest for 5 hours in the middle of the night. Well, I need you at home, you have to help and this and that, I need to talk to you. I'm just saying, you need a balance. Hashem sends a person to balance, but no, I have to go all the way. These people crash afterwards. And then when they crash, they feel so guilty about the crash, they don't get back up afterwards. You see sometimes people, I bumped into them like a lot in America and also here, like these, they're in their 50s and 60s and he has a pot belly and he looks like a guy like on the street. And then he tells me that once, when he was in his 20s and that he was getting up at Chatzot and he was an Oved Hashem and everything and had the long pace and he was into everything and he was married and he had kids and then 60, like he's now on the street, a bum, a nobody and a pot belly and doesn't take care of himself What happened? So what happens normally is these people have too much light, too much intensity, because they harbe. They want to do a lot. They take upon themselves this and that and this and that, and they want to do everything, and it's not them anymore. They're not in their place. They're not in a healthy place. They didn't take upon something and then go into it, and then next thing. They went into so many, like, I have now the opportunity, so grab and this and that. And these people in the end, when they crash, they fall almost all the way. It's terrible. Whereas a person who goes with a humble attitude, who am I? What am I? Hashem, what do you want from me? I'm trying my best. I don't know what you want me to do. And with that attitude, he takes upon one thing. And it's always, Hashem, am I doing the right thing? I don't know. It's always like, going with a lot of caution and hesitation. These people make it. And then they grab this, they grab that. And they don't pay attention. Look at you. Are these guys already, they're up there and you're still behind? He doesn't look at that. He said, I'm going at my pace. I know how I am. I know my yitzhara. I know where I'm coming from. So I go slowly. These people, after 20, 30 years, they bypassed other people who they jumped in and they're up there, and then you see them crashing and falling. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something right? How come I'm working out now? It's working out for me so much. And these guys who were my role models, and I was trying to emulate them, and now they're falling back because they jumped in. They jumped in too much. So it's an amazing chidush. Harbe asuk Rabbi Shimon. It's a big thing, especially for today, especially people who are looking for light, which is almost everybody. Or the darkness of the galut is so dark that we can grab. I'll take any light there is, okay? But the thing is, you have to be careful. If it's too much, then you have, like we say in this lesson 24, if there's too much or in sof, and there's no breakers, there's no keter to stop the person will just burn out. And then he crashes. Amazing, huh? We're all looking at each other. Look at me, I'm talking about myself, okay? Fine, so, yeah?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you ask a question.
So what would be the eight, just to clarify, what would be the eight for that? Is what it is? That's what it sounds like.
Every night in davening, it was like in the last class, you say Mamariv, Takenenu be'etzah tova milefanecha. Whatever you're doing it on condition that you're asking Hashem, I don't know if what I'm doing is right, so I'm asking you, please give me good advice and guide me according to your emet. And if I'm doing is wrong and it's not for me, then show me. I'm just being simple. The books say to do this, so I'm trying. And if this is not what I'm supposed to do, then make it clear for me. I'm not going to say, no, I have to go in, I have to do, this is for me, with gaiva. I'm going with uncertainty because I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I see this farm say to do it. I see tzaddikim are doing it. I should maybe jump in. I remember, for example, there's a thing from Zusha Vanapoli to do negel wasser while still lying down in bed. Not to put your feet on the earth, on the ground, and do netila. Most people do that. Some people even walk to the kitchen or to the bathroom or the sink to do netila. They rely on the Mishnah Bura's heter. I don't know if it's a heter, but it's a leniency that the whole house is considered 4 amot, so you can walk. But other people, they have negel vasser next to their bed, and they get out of bed, or they sit on their bed and they wash. Some people stand, and many people, like the Hasidim, they're very strict. They put it on their stomach and they do netila while lying in bed, and it's a big thing, right? But I didn't receive that chinuch. I tried. I only tried at a later age. I tried doing it. I was pulling it on me. It's pulling on my beard. So what is this? I don't know how to turn. I don't know how to do this. They're used to it since they're a kid. They're doing it. The Hasidim, they're able to, while lying down, to do the negel vasser lying down. They can do it. But other people can't. I can't do that. And I didn't receive, I didn't start off with that. I started off next to the bed, yes, not to walk with Dalat Amot. Okay, so I do that, whatever. So when you take upon something, and then you say, I can't do it anymore, and then you feel guilty that you're not doing it, and then you crash even more, chas v'shalom. A person has to do things. You see in Sfarim it says to do it. And also, there was a Rebbe, a tutor for my son. He asked me, do you do this at home? I said, no. He said, well, it's good for him and your Shemaim, and if he does it and I do it and everything. So we started. It just crashed after a week. What can I do? It's a chumrah. It's a Hasidic. It's really emphasized in the Hasidic world not to put your foot on the ground until you do netila. Okay, it's emphasized. Fine. According to Shulchan Aruch, it's okay if you don't do that. It's just a hanhaga. It's a hanhaga. It's devotion. So now, am I going to go crazy for that? Or am I going to go crazy for Rebbe Nachman's hour of Hidbodedut? What's priority for me now? You understand? So again, whatever you do, You have to do it on condition you're asking Hashem, I don't know if this is the right thing. I don't know. Am I in the right place? 6 hours he devoted it straight. Is this for me? Should I be doing this? Oh, one rabbi speaks about it and encourages it, but is it me afterwards? And when a person crashes from that, because he feels it's or 6 hours or nothing, right? So then when he can't do it, he feels so guilty, he doesn't even do the minimum that he could have done because he made the goal like. So because of that, whatever you take upon yourself, it has to become package and parcel. We're asking Hashem, God, guide me according to your emet. You know me better than me. You know who I am. You know what I can handle. I'm doing things. I feel it's the right thing. Okay, according to Allah, I'm okay. But I'm just taking upon myself. I'm scared. I take upon something which is too much, and then I'll crash. Harbe asks Rabbi Shimon. If it's too much, if it's on my level, then show me Hashem. Make it clear. Make it clear. If not, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I'm told. I'm doing Timimut Pshitut, simplicity. I'm doing what I'm told to do is the right thing to do. Okay, but now if it doesn't work out, and then it makes me feel guilty and bad, is this what you want, Hashem? Is this what you want? I don't know anymore. So that's why I always love it. Always. Perkei Avot. Al tamin batzmach ad yom motach. Don't believe in yourself until your day of death. You're every day doubting and asking Hashem, I don't know. I can't trust myself even, Hashem. I don't know if it's the Yetzirah. Rebbe Nachman's first lesson in the Kutei Moran. The Yetzirah dresses himself in mitzvot. The Yetzirah comes in a big shtreimel, nice. It doesn't come like Rambo or like Esav, all blood red and bloody and this. You're for sure not going to listen to him. Yetzirah comes with the nice shtreimel, the nice payas, the big bekeshe. Come, do this, do that, do this. And he convinces you it's a mitzvah, and then you crash afterwards. That's the first lesson in the Kutei Moran, right? So it's an amazing chidush about Harbe Asik Rabbi Shimon. Just I had to share that. Okay, so we're going to continue where we left off in this beautiful letter. Rav Nosson, we said in the last class, he's addressing people who have anxiety, who have frustration, who have like thoughts of confusion attacking them, and yet a person is able to bypass it and not allow the anxiety, the frustration, the confusion to take him away from what he can do. This I see today is very common. You have like young teenagers, men, they feel so bad about themselves and they just lie down all day in bed smoking and like watching their smartphone. And they don't put on tefillin, they don't go to davening, they don't do anything. They're just like so down and out of it, because of the anxiety, the frustration, the confusion, which leads them to worry and depression, chas v'shalom. So they end up not even doing the minimum. And Rav Nosson is praising his son that even though he was like frustrated and confused for a good thing, for a good cause, the shidduch for his son, and normally people take that as like a permission to exempt themselves from other things that they have to do, other obligatory things. But his son was able to say, even though I'm preoccupied and overwhelmed and frustrated and anxiety over the shidduch and everything, he still found time to write a letter that was needed to write for the printing of the Kutei Halachot. And Rav Nosson's praising him that you were able to do that, and that opened the door that you saw. Now you have a head to learn Gemara also. And now in the last class we said that Rav Nosson says that learning Torah is something that like you can spend your whole life learning Torah. So and the anxiety and the frustration and confusion takes away even from minimal learning. You're not learning all day, okay, but maybe just a little your daily session in Gemara to take that away because of what you're going through. And he was praising his son that you were able to say, but this is the main thing in life. What am I going to take with me? Okay, I'm confused and frustrated and anxious because of what I'm going through, overwhelmed by the situation of marrying off a son and everything that involves, and it's taxing on the brain. How am I going to pull this together? The expenses and the planning and everything, but yet to push that off, this is temporary. This will work out in the end. But now the Gemara that I lose out is going to be lost forever. The Torah study I'm going to lose out is going to be lost forever. So Rav Nosson goes on. Next, that's Torah study. And now look what else the Yetzirah tries to take away from a person, from the distractions of the anxiety, the confusion, and the frustration. וגם צריכים להתפלל ולשוח בינו לבין קונו. And also you need time every day to daven and to converse in your own words lasuach, to express your own conversation, beino levein kono, between you and your Creator. Okay? That's also another thing that you have to do. And yet Sarah, with the distractions, tries to take you away that you have a day goes by without even talking to Hashem 5 minutes. What in the world? This reminds me of a story. There was a Breslover from Lvov. His name was Rav Zanva Lubarsky. Rav Zanva Lubarsky, he passed away like in the 1950s, 1960s, during communist Russia. He survived the Holocaust. He fled. He was from Lvov, Lemberg, Lvov, which is like western Ukraine. And right after the Holocaust, he hid, he fled. I don't remember exactly his story, but he survived. And the first thing that was on his mind, him and his wife survived. The first thing that was on his mind, what's happening with Rebbe Nachman's grave? So he came to Uman, and he saw the whole old cemetery where Rebbe Nachman is buried was all destroyed, all blown up, all black, pitch black earth, all turned around, turned upside down. You couldn't recognize a cemetery because that's where the Germans fought the Russians, on the cemetery. They were shooting bombs on the cemetery. All Uman, they were fighting on the Jewish cemetery. So the traces of Rebbe Nachman's grave was totally lost. This Rav Zanvol, he was a descendant of Rebbe Nachman, by the way. The Lubarskys are descendants of Rebbe Nachman. And he used to, before the war, would very often come to Rebbe Nachman's kever and also take care of it, to like maintenance, to see what's missing, if the olive oil lamp had enough olive oil, and if any books were missing, Tehillim, Tikkun HaKlalis, if it was being maintained, if the windows were broken or whatever, the door was working, if the door was squeaky, whatever, all these things. He was chipping in his part. He lived far, so he couldn't come every day, couldn't come every week. Maybe once a month he would go to Uman from Lvov by train, whatever. So the first thing in his mind was what's happening with Rebbe Nachman's kever, all destroyed. So now he started to look for the kever. So now he remembered that by Rebbe Nachman's body, the actual grave, at the head and the foot, there were wooden poles dug deep into the earth, holding up, reaching chest level, a shelf that went exactly over Rebbe Nachman's body. It was a shelf at chest level, from head to toe, which they used to put Tikkun HaKlalis, Likutei Tfilot, Tehillim, all books of prayer were on, and people, if they wanted to prostrate on the kever, it wasn't on the length, from the height, from head to toe. They would do 3 people at once. They can fit in 3 people from his head to the feet, like that, by the width. Okay, that's how they prostrated over the kever of Rebbe Nachman back then. So he was looking in the burnt, blacked earth. He was looking for traces of the woods. Based on approximate the position, he saw where the kever approximately was standing. Based on looking at the opposite mountain hill where Rav Noson's shul was still standing, the Klois. That's where we stay in Uman, by the way, next to it. We can see from our apartment Rebbe Nachman's kever. Okay. So he was looking for traces of the wood, and he couldn't find it. He was like carefully, because his bones, everything was blown up. So he has to be very careful, looking carefully, moving the debris, the black, the rocks, and the earth to look for traces of the wood, of the 2 wooden poles. He spent the whole day and he didn't find anything, and he was very broken. And he slept, I don't know where he slept that night in Uman, by a Jewish person or a hotel or on the street. I don't know where he did, but he slept and he dreamt he saw Rebbe Nachman wearing like the Rebbe fur coats, the very expensive fur coats that the Rebbe's wore, the nice palva, the nice fur pelts. And he asked Rebbe Nachman in his dream, Rabbeinu, are you leaving us? He said in Yiddish, du geheißt von mir? I said, whatever. Are you leaving us? And the Rebbe says, Chas Shalom, I'm staying with you, I'm with you, I'm by you, don't worry. He woke up early in the morning with such confidence because of the dream, and he started early in the morning looking, and he found traces of the 2 poles. He was ecstatic. He quickly marked the grave, and he found out that the municipality of Uman, because the cemetery was so destroyed, they're ready to sell it for real estate, for property for people to buy, a low price. So he wanted to purchase, but they said to him, because it's only for locals of Uman. You're not a local of Uman. You have to live in Uman in order to have permission to buy this land. So he found anyone alive, any Breslover was alive, and there was a Ger Tzedek who's buried here in Har Menuchot. He came to Eretz Yisrael, Daniel Zagaiski. He married a Jewish woman. The Nazis killed his wife and his son, and he said, "Kill me too." He said, "No, you're not one of them." They said, even though he converted, he said, "No, you're a goy. You're still a goy." So they didn't kill him. Okay. So Rav Zangel Gilzagaiski with Zanva Lubarsky, together with money funded by Chabad Lubavitch in Lvov, they sent money, they wired money, and they bought the plot of land. Okay, so this is with Zanva Lubarsky. What was his job? He worked in construction, like 12 hours a day. They were crazy. The communists, they really squeezed them. 12 hours a day in construction, and he was very careful to do Hitbodedut every day. If he woke up early enough in the morning, before going to work, he would do Hitbodedut then, right before going to work. Shkoyach, thank you. And if now he woke up late and he couldn't do Hitbodedut early in the morning, he'd come back from work drained. 12 hours construction, 12 hours. So he came home like drunk, tired, just wanted to eat and go to sleep. But he didn't do Hitbodedut. He wouldn't go to sleep until he did Hitbodedut. So his wife said that he would walk around the room like a drunk person trying to talk to Hashem, but he was so exhausted. But he made sure that I have consistency in doing Hitbodedut, and I don't let the excuse, you worked hard and you're tired, to push him to sway him. So he died before her, and she made a crazy request. She said, "I want him to be buried in Israel." He asked to be buried in Eretz Israel, and she submitted to the communist. Crazy, it's scary. They can imprison you just for asking such a question. She said, "I want to bury him in Israel. How much will it cost?" And they gave a crazy amount of money. They said, "Okay, but this amount." She was able to wire the request to Yerushalayim, to Rebbe Chaim Rosen, the Rosh Hashiva of the Breslov Shulim Hashem. And he quickly called Rabbi Rosenfeld, who had an opportunity of Met Mitzvah, to bring the body of Rav Zanva Lubarsky, who they knew already the story that he saved the kever. So quickly, Rosenfeld, of his connections, they tried to get the money together. They wired it, and he sent it. And she said, "But I'm coming along with him." They said, "What? The visa is just for your husband's body." He says, No, I go with him. It's not like I'm staying behind. They said, "Okay, it's more money." They agreed. So more money, and then she got on the plane. And then the Breslovers were there in Tel Aviv to receive the body. When they opened up the kever to open the body was dug. Sorry, what am I saying? He was in the earth for like 5-10 years, and only after 10 years she got the permission. I'm sorry to tell the story correctly. Okay, so they had to dug open the grave after 10 years in the Ukraine. The body was intact. 10 years. A body normally decomposes 4 days already. 4 to 10 days, the body is totally decomposed. Normal body. Okay? Here, 10 years, and his body was totally clean. The Breslovers couldn't believe it. They asked her, what your husband, like a Lamed Vav, it's like one in a generation has this, one of the 36 tzaddikim. What was special about him? She told him this, that he did Hitbodedut every day. That's all I know about him, that he was careful on Hitbodedut. Okay? So Nosson is saying again, that when you know what's priority in life, you make sure the day doesn't pass without them. Even if you're going nuts, even if you feel like chas you want to jump off a roof, chas shalom, and the anxiety and the confusion and the frustration is too much, but you remember priority is priority. The day cannot go without Hitbodedut. The day cannot go by without doing this and that. I have priorities to do, and I can't let my personal, emotional, mental state that's upside down take away the whole day. No, okay, you lost it, so the whole day is gone. Like these guys, I say, are in bed all day, just smoking and on the phone because they don't know what to do. They're so broken from the situation. Here he's saying you have so much to do. Minimum Torah study. You, my son, you grab the Gemara. Kol hakavod. Like you're so upside down, everything is upset and uptight, and yet you're able to grab that. So that's saying also davening. We have so much to do. He says, Rav Nosson is trying to go through that in your day is not enough to do what has to be done. So if that's the case, why throw everything all together? Do some minimum. So that's what he's saying now. Also by davening. You have to, every day we have to daven. Okay, that's the davening that we know. Shachar, Mincha, Arvit, and if it's Tehillim. And also, v'lasuach beno levin kono, and to talk between you and Hashem. And when that's not possible, he says, al kol panim, or at the least, the very least, if you have no time to properly talk to Hashem, because your head is not there. So if your head is not there, why are you talking to Hashem if your head is not there? Just say the words like a bird chirping, and you're not in the words because you're just thinking about you're stuck with the trauma of this and this and that. So if you can't do that, so he says, "O al kol panim litzok." You sign. Sometimes you go to Breslov shuls. All of a sudden, you're someone going, "Oi!" The funniest is when we're in line. If it was in Kiev or Kishinev, and you were in line for the passports, and you can't handle it anymore. So one guy starts screaming, "Oh!" and then everybody starts screaming, "Oh!" and the guys are cracking up. They start cracking up, and the goyim are watching, like, what is this? Yeah. Some guy pulls out his guitar, and another guy violin. One guy said, "Oh!" and also they remember not to get sucked into the difficulty of the situation, right? They start screaming, "Oi!" So Nosson is reminding us, or at least you can't talk, then just let out a krechts, litzok, just to cry out to Hashem, comma, or another thing, lismoach belibo sheberanu lichvodo. You have another thing you can do even when you're preoccupied. Just to be, like Rav Nosson is listing so many things that you can do that are constructive, that are going to help you. Or, for example, to be happy in your heart about what? Psh, Hashem loves me. Baruch Elokeinu, it's from the davening. Sheberanu lichvodo. This is from Overzealousness. That Hashem created me for His honor. To be happy, I have a worth. Nachon, I'm going through crazy things and the preparations for a wedding and a shidduch and this and that, and I'm just overwhelmed by everything. But I can be happy. Psh, I have a value. I have a worth. Hashem created me. The happiness expresses when you put on tefillin, tzitzit, when you do a mitzvah. Okay, that I can be happy for any tiny thing. I can be happy about it. That's also something that the Yetzer Hara tries to take me away from, distract me from. And then another thing, וגם צריכים לדבר עם חברינו. Another thing that you should be doing, and you have like an obligation to do this every day, and the Yetzer Hara tries to take away from you even from this. We also need to have what's called sichat chaverim, to speak to friends. Breslov is not about being what's the word in English? A nomad hermit and like isolated in the mountains of Tzfat, in the mountains, and Kabbalist and Uji Buji and alone. And people can't talk to the person. You have these funny people. They come to shul, people are scared to talk to them, and they don't want to talk to them, they keep their distance. That's not good. You have to know how to be me'orav ben abriot, and also v'akadosh baruch Hu, to balance. I say always, a Jew has to be an actor. You have to know how to act when with people, how to act when you're alone with Hashem, but not to say I'm all or nothing. I'm like a people person, but when it comes to being alone, I can't handle it. You have to know how to be alone, and have your avodah between you and Hashem, and you're being alone. And when you're with people, to know how to adjust, to how to talk, and Rebbe Nachman is going to bring an amazing point coming up, which is why I brought this, the Gemara coming up. Watch. Okay, we also have to speak with our friends on a daily basis. To talk to people is, first of all, there's many reasons why you should talk to people. Because you get from his good point. When you talk to another person, you have your good point. And when you say your ideas or whatever, so he gets from your good point. And when he gives feedback, you get from his good point. And there's points that you can only get from another person that you don't have, because there's a rule. In chavush matir tatzmo. Someone in jail can't free himself. Sometimes it's good to tell another person like your ideas and everything, and he just says one point that you didn't even think about, and it saved you. He said, "Thank you. That's what I needed to hear." That's why it's good. It's not good to keep everything like quiet because you're afraid of ayin hara and you're afraid that what people might ruin with their ideas. They might give me jealousy and evil eye. If you have good friends, share with them. What's the problem? If he's a good friend and you know he loves you and he's there for you, so why keep things? Why hide things? Sometimes when they find out that you hid it, then they get upset. You ruined it. You ruined it. How come you didn't tell me? You have no excuse now. You're real busy because you're scared of ayin hara or you might ruin it or jealousy. But he's your friend. There are times you do share with people, things that you need input, you need out, you want to hear, even if it's personal things, private things. But sometimes you hear a point from somebody that you didn't even think about, and because of that, you're so frustrated, so confused, you don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, they say something from their point, and you say, "No, you're right. I didn't think about that." That's one of the reasons why it's good sichat chaverim. When we say talking sichat chaverim, it's about talking to friends about things that matter, like the ultimate purpose of life. Not talking about, I bought a lottery ticket and this and that. That also, we're going to see, he's going to bring that up. But main sichat chaverim is people talk about the tachlit, the ultimate purpose of life, okay? So it's speaking with your friends And he says, look, hen b'milei dishmaya, hen be'iske masau matan hamuchrach. To speak to friends, whether it comes to words of fear of heaven, words of shamayim, words about the ultimate purpose, like we said, or even with your business dealings that you have to do, and you want to share to get feedback from a friend. I'm planning to do this and that, and the friend says you shouldn't invest there because this is going to happen, and you didn't think about that. So thank you. That's why it's good to share. It's good to not keep things inside. It says clearly, it's a pasuk. Da'aga belev ish yesichena. The worry in your heart, speak it out. We say speak it out to Hashem, but the pshat is speak it to a friend. That's why it's so good to have friends and to share with them what you're going through, because they can give you such feedback. Sometimes they don't even say something. Just talking to them, it bounces back to you and you get your feedback just by them listening. Right? Even psychologists, they say sometimes a person has to talk to someone else until it bounces back and you begin to hear what you're saying. I needed that. We have for that Baruch Hashem Yitbodedut. But sometimes your Yitbodedut is not done properly. So you need a friend to talk to also. Not instead, but also to be there for the points I'm missing with my conversation with Hashem, that with the friend that comes out. So he's saying, Esek Masau Matan HaMuchrach. Rav Nosson is very careful with his words. To speak with your friends about business transactions that are necessary. Not where a person is over-exaggerating, I'm going to borrow like $500,000, I'm planning to invest to buy this and that. Not crazy thing, a person jumping in. But muchrach, what's needed? A guy, right, he needs a parnasa, so he's thinking, I'm planning to be a painter to paint people's houses before Pesach. It's a good idea. What do you think, my friend? And the person says, yes, this, that, maybe you should do this instead. So it's good. Muchrach, it's important to not keep it in. So again, Yitzhara, when he gets a person frustrated, anxious, and worried, and confused, so a person forgets everything. Like, even to talk to friends that you could have spoken to, shoot, I should have spoken to him about this and that, but I was just overwhelmed with what I'm going through. So Nosson says, look how much you lose out by being overwhelmed. Look how much you lose out. And you, my son, I'm proud of you that you were able not to forget, and you wrote the letter to Yassi for the printing of the Likutei Halachot, whatever, okay? He goes on, Olifamim leman hashalom shegam ze mitzvah. This is amazing. And sometimes a person has to speak for the sake of peace, that even this is a mitzvah. And he brings the Gemara, Kumo Shamur Boteinu Zal, like our sages say. This is Gemara Brachot Yud Zayin Aleph. Let's look at this Gemara inside, okay? The Gemara inside is about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was outstanding. He was one of the leading rabbis at the end of the Second Temple. Okay, he was at the time of the Second Beit HaMikdash. Okay, and he had connections with the Roman government. They respected him tremendously. The emperor, he respected him tremendously, and also the Roman in charge of Israel at the time. Like, he's not the big emperor, he's like the smaller emperor of the Holy Land. He had a deep connection. He let him survive. He said, you can leave Yerushalayim and everything. He was so knowledgeable in everything. He said, even in the language of demons, even in the languages of birds, and the languages of angels, and he knew also Masay Merkava, the divine chariot secrets, everything. Okay? And yet he was so humble. He was so humble. He did things, for example, to show his humility. He never slept in a Beis Midrash. Even like to put his head down, never. And for sure not to lie down and to sleep. And another thing they say about him is this. Amru Alav. This is Brachot Yud Zayin Aleph. Brachot Yud Zayin, page 17a, says like this. Amru Alav al Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. They said about Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. By the way, he's buried in Tveria, next to the Shla HaKadosh. Rambam, Shla, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and his two students, Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi. There's some other graves there, they don't know exactly who they are. So he's buried in Tveria. They said about him the following. Shelo hikdimo Adam shalom me'olam. Afilu goy bashuk. No one, this is the pshat, was able to say shalom before him. If he met somebody, he was the first one to say shalom. Okay? Even a goy, he had such respect, even for a goy in the marketplace. Shalom, boker tov, Ahmad. Kif halak, how's it going? Okay? So that's the pshat. But it's ridiculous to say that he would go around every person, shalom, shalom, shalom. That's nuts. It wasn't that. They explained something amazing. The commentaries on the Gemara say something absolutely amazing. The wording in the Gemara is Shelo hikdimo Adam shalom me'olam. No person hikdimo. Hikdimo means came before him, like kadem. Kedem means first. No person came before him to say shalom ever. Okay? But hakdama also means when a person came to him with problems, so he would want to know what led the person to this situation. If someone came to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai for a request for money, or with a question, with difficulties in Shalom Bayit and everything, so he would stick his, it wouldn't like just get a psak, you know, you come to some rabbis, they're like, they're paid, they have no time. Okay, permissible, non-permissible, yeah, like a phone, I have 2 minutes on the phone with you, yes, what's the question? No, okay, you're allowed to do it, goodbye, or not, tell her if this is not the case, and this and this and that, goodbye. You have some rabbis like that, they're like this, he wasn't like that. He was saying, okay, my friend, what led to this? Can I ask you please, how did this all start? He would take out his time, which is rare, for a person like as busy as Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, to Lahakadin, he wanted to hear the person's whole story, not just a question. What led to this? What led to your situation that you're asking me this question? I want to hear the whole story. And people were so amazed by him. Even a goy, a goy would say, it's not this. They're like, how's it going? Oh, it's terrible. He say, well, tell me what's going on, what's wrong? Or like, what led to this? So he would spend time to hear the whole story of the person. Okay? That's Shalom Dimo Adam, Shalom. Shalom means you want to hear the whereabouts. Shalom lo, like it says when Yaakov met the shepherds of where Lavan lived. Have you heard about Lavan? He said yes. Hashalom lo. Yaakov said Hashalom. They said Shalom. Yeah. Let me see. And then how's he doing? Like, what's everything? Is everything okay with him? So that's the idea. Ikdimo Adam Shalom Me'olam. He would always be inquiring about the whereabouts of the person. Even a goy in the shuk, because he felt it wasn't beneath his. He's a creature of Hashem. He needs also attention. A goy also has feelings. Come on, right? The goy has also feelings, but the problem is sometimes if they're anti-Semitic, they're overdrawn by their hatred to the Jewish people, but they have feelings also. We have a mitzvah, Rachamav al kol ma'asav, right? I remember there's a story of an Israeli soldier that went into an Arab village, and they were fighting. And there was an Arab there, a citizen, whose leg was broken, and he was bleeding to death. So the Israeli soldier found 2 pieces of wood to contain the leg of the Arab, tied it together, and bring him to the hospital, the Israeli, the infirmary of the Israeli soldiers. So the Arab was telling over this story because they cut off his leg because it had to be amputated, but his life was saved because he was bleeding to death. So he's telling the story how his Arab brethren saw him dying on the street. No one was out there to save him, and an Israeli Jewish soldier saved him. He started crying. And his wife in the background, the Arab woman, she's crying also because it defies their religion. That a Jew, they're called evil, bad people. But what are you going to say now? He just saved you. Come on, are you going to still be anti-Semitic but he saved you, and he admitted to it. He said like he was on they're recording him on television, whatever. That he saved him. He was crying when he was saying this because that goes against their whole religion now that they're bad people and Mashayim and everything. And who saved you? Who saved you? A Jew, right? Fine. So this is the Gemara here. I feel goy bashuk because it's a kiddush Hashem. Even a goy, he is a creature of Hashem. You have to have rachmanut. You don't let him die. You're a goy, so die. We don't do that. We don't say that. Okay. So now Rav Nosson is telling his son that there is a mitzvah to go out of your way to make shalom, to listen to people. Again, look at the wording of Rav Nosson. All ifamim leman hashalom shegam ze mitzvah, right? And he's telling us. Also, or sometimes, for the sake of peace, that this is also a mitzvah, and he tells you to the Gemara, Kmo Sham Rabbeinu Zal, like the rabbi said in the Gemara, Brachot Yud Zayin, Aleph, about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Me'olam lo ikdemo Adam shalom me'olam. That never did someone come before him to say shalom ever. To just translate it as the pshat doesn't make sense why Rav Nosson is throwing this in. It makes sense that he said that you go to make shalom, to hear people's stories, for the sake of shalom, also to spend time, take away from your time, to help people get around. That's a big thing. Someone's coming to you. Don't brush them. I'm busy now learning. I don't have time for you. Okay? It's someone's coming to you. We're not going to talk to someone that every second somebody's coming to him, then the person has a heart attack. They say Rav Shechter, one of the reasons why he had a heart attack was non-stop. Rav Yaakov Shechter, many years ago, he had a heart attack. They put a stent in his heart. because the man was given over totally for the people. So people were coming, taking advantage. So there's only so much you can handle. He got sick in the end. Okay, you have to know boundaries. The person has to know his health and everything. But normally, when it's like on odd, it's like it happens. Okay, it happens that for the sake of peace, not every day. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, I guess he was unique in that Hashem designed it that he had time for everybody, every day. Okay, but Rav Nosson telling his son, there's also times that you need to speak to somebody. And now, if you're overwhelmed by what you're going through, so you say, I don't have time for this right now. I can't talk to you right now. So he's saying you have to be stronger and not to push it off, and to speak to the person and give him the hityachasut, give him the attention that he needs to hear, so you can give him peace, solas. I think that's the word in English. Okay, to give him that peace that he can feel good and confident listening to you. So Nosson says, don't let the anxiety take that away also. Okay? או לפעמים למען השלום שגם זה מצווה, כמו שאמרו רבותינו ז"ל, מעולם לא הקדימו אדם שלום מעולם. Okay? And now, period. Now, one more thing. ומכל שכן, שבכל פעם נתחדשים על פי רוב כמה עסקים חדשים. And now, all the more so, that every time, every moment, there's always new things popping up in life. New things to do, new errands, new chores. Life is not quiet. There's always new things coming up. Your life is changing. The age of your children is changing. Your obligations are changing. Like the emphasis now is more here, and then afterwards more here and then less here, and then all of a sudden something new pops up here and less here. And there's always new things, and you have to be on the run. You have to be always on the run. So yeah, you have to do. And now if you let the anxiety to just push you off totally, chaval, you're losing out on all these things that require your attention and your koach. So if Nosson is like reminding his son that people get overwhelmed by the anxiety and the confusion, frustrations, look what it's taking them away from what they have to do, things that have to be done. They don't do it now, it's going to fall upon them later on in life. Okay? Kegon, and he gives, for example, ata shasita shiduch lemazal tov. For example, now that you, my son, made a lemazal tov, a good shidduch for your son, okay, you were overwhelmed from leaving the previous shidduch, like we said, which wasn't good, and getting into a better one. That took a lot of energy and effort and anxiety and frustration and confusion. Nothing comes clean in life. Everything has like, well, this, that. It's like, okay, you think you're about to do something, open a new business or a new thing. It always has like a push and shove. Like there's always like a push and then, okay, yeah, but this is difficult. Okay. Like there's always in and out. Nothing is smooth. Nothing. Sometimes people, when you tell over what they went through, they make it sound so smooth. So you're jealous. Oh, I did this and this and that. You didn't tell in between, oh yeah, but it took about 5 days. You didn't tell me that. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that it took 5 days until I got the permit, and then I got this, and you didn't tell me that. When you're telling the story over, you sound, oh, it's so clean, it's so halak, so nice. But that's not it. The reality is that there's a lot of push and shove in between. Okay, and it's a lot of it's draining. It takes a lot of energy when you're doing stuff in life. Planning a trip to America, planning to this, it's a lot of energy. Okay, and it's needed. And now if the anxiety of what you're going through makes you overwhelmed, so that you're losing out. So again, וגם אתה צריך, sorry, I skipped. כגון אתה שעשית שידוך למזל טוב, והוכרחת אז לעסוק בעסק שלנו, and in the middle, you had to leave it, לעסוק בעסק שלנו, and write the letter to Yassi for the printing. Okay, so you were overwhelmed, but yet you were able to grab and do what had to be done because you knew this had to be done. The main thing is to get these books out in the world to help bring Mashiach, to bring the tikkun of the world, etc. Nachon is a shidduch. Okay, it can wait. I'm giving it my attention. I'm not going to be drained because of it. I have to do other things. וגם אתה צריך לעסוק בעסקיך ובעסקינו כאלה וכאלה. And even after writing that letter to Yassi, and even now, you have to be involved in our esek, our errand of the printing of the books. Sorry, in your errands, because he also had work. He was working in the post office and the bank. So he has his works, his errands, and also our asakenu of the printing of the books, ka'ele v'cha'ele, this and other things that Rav Nosson threw upon his son to do, such as supporting him and his family. Because Rav Nosson says, you guys are all dependent on me. I'm writing these chidushim, but I need the support in my home that I can be free to write these chidushim. If now I'm overtaxed by how am I going to get money for supper and for the kids and this and that. So you can never sit down and write chidushim. You need some clarity of the head. So that's what Rav Nosson needed support to be able to do that, because he wasn't working Rav Nosson. He gave his life totally to spreading Rebbe Nachman, Rav Nosson. Okay? ועל ידי כל זה יכולים לדלג ולברוח ממה שצריכים לברוח. So now, through knowing, so Rav Nosson is saying a very important point. When you remind yourself that you have so much to do in the day, and even if I can't do all of it, but some of it I can do, and I need to do it because it's for my benefit and it's for the world's benefit. So when you become overwhelmed by being like pushed off from anxiety and confusion and whatever you said, you can use all these things. If it's Torah study, there's so much to do. If it's davening, there's so much to daven. If it's hitbodedut, there's so much to do. Talking to people, there's so much that I have friends I can speak to every day that I can reach out, and I need to reach out to them, okay? If it's business transactions, I also have to deal with that. All the things he mentioned, okay? So he says, just remembering that, you can easily jump over. In other words, Rav Nosson is saying, don't get weighed down. Don't get weighed down by the distractions of the anxiety and the confusion, frustration of what's happening in your life. Don't let it weigh you down. Rather, the daleg, jump over it by remember, I have my Gemara said they're waiting for me at 9. So no matter what happens, I'm going to make it there. And even if I can't, I'll try and make a little bit of it, okay? And if I can't make it at all, so I have another seder this. I have my tikkun klali, I have my bodedut, my likutei tefillot, my dancing every day, not to forget about my dancing, and my talking to Hashem, or we're going to keep it tzaddik, whatever. Okay, and my business work, I have to do my... Don't let what you went to take away your whole life, okay? Because you have obligations to the person can say, okay, what happened to me now? So I'm exempt from tefillin, I'm exempt from shachris, I'm exempt from everything, because I need a break, I need a vacation for when I'm going. There are people who are like that. There are people, every tiny thing makes them wasted. Like they're drained already. They're drained. They can't do anything. So I can't, right now, I can't talk now, I'm like, when you can't talk now, you know? Tell me when. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Say that at least. No, I can't talk now. And they're out like for a day or two or something like that. It's not, Rav Nosson saying you can skip over that. It doesn't have to be like that. There's so much good to do. There's so much that you benefit from doing, B'ezrat Hashem. But I'm on the right frame of mind. Who says you need the right frame of mind? Just remember this has to be done and do it. Minimum, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, watch. This is what he's going to coming up is really amazing. Okay, ועל כל זה יכולים לדלג ולברוח ממה שצריכים לברוח. Okay, like we said. Through this you can skip over and run away from everything that you have to run away from, which we said is being overwhelmed by the anxiety and stress and confusion and frustration. ולבלי להסתכל לאחוריו כלל וכלל, and not to look back at all. If you start thinking about, okay, what happened just now, this and this and that, it weighs you down. It takes away your time, takes away your energy. It's chaval. And whatever happened already. Yeah, okay, let's go on. Next, I have to do next. If I spend too much time analyzing what happened, it was a difficult situation, I spent too much, it weighs you down. So he says, Rav Nosson, don't look back at all. Ulekayem, this is amazing. And to fulfill, ma shekatuv, what Rabbi Nachman says in his Aleph Bet book, the Sefer Midot. Rabbi Nachman says there in the chapter on immorality. Immorality, paragraph 10. Now this is amazing, because Rabbi Nachman wrote this when he was under Bar Mitzvah. He wrote the first part of the Aleph Bet book, these aphorisms on life, before the age of 13. The second part was before the age of 20, they say. Okay? He had amazing perceptions, but the ones that were done before the age of Bar Mitzvah, he collected from various books. So this quote, believe it or not, so that means Rebbe Nachman was in the years 1880s, 1890s, okay? When he wrote, what? 1780s, 1790s, thank you, right. So he's reading a quote, Rebbe Nachman found a quote, which is word for word from the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. People don't know that. In the Aleph Bet book, there's a direct quotation from the Or HaChaim, and Rebbe Nachman already had the Or HaChaim book already was printed, because I thought it would take so long for it to be printed. The Baal Shem Tov is the one who made the Or HaChaim famous by the Hasidim. He was a Sephardic Chacham from Morocco. And in Morocco they kicked him out because for the Or HaChaim, he got kicked out of Morocco because he was able to read all the people's sins on their foreheads, saying, you did this, you did that. People were scared of him, and they couldn't handle living around him. They asked him to leave. So he led to Eretz Yisrael. He was in Eretz Yisrael for 2 years. From age 46 to 48. He passed away at age 48, the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. So the Yahrzeit is coming up on the 15th of Tammuz. Okay? So, but the Baal Shem Tov knew about him. The Baal Shem Tov and the Or HaChaim lived in the same time. The Baal Shem Tov, Or HaChaim passed away before the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov found out, after washing his hands for Sunnah Shlishit, he did Netilah, and he broke bread, and he said at the table, the dish, Nichba Haner HaMa'aravi. The western candle has been extinguished, referring to the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. He knew of divine inspiration. His mission in traveling to Eretz Yisrael, the Baal Shem Tov, was to meet the Or HaChaim, and together they would have been able to bring Mashiach. That's the story. That the Baal Shem Tov, he said he was the smaller light, and the Or HaChaim was the bigger light. If they would meet together, like the sun and the moon meeting, Mashiach would have arrived. But Hashem made it that the generation wasn't worthy. The Baal Shem Tov tried to come, and the winds and everything pushed them back to Istanbul, and the dangers they had on the way of the cannibals and the ship almost breaking, all the things. So he couldn't. So it was impossible to go. So it didn't happen. And then when he came back to Mezhbozh, then he found out the Or HaChaim passed away. So already it's amazing that the book was printed and available in the Ukraine already by the 1780s, 1790s. Rebbe Nachman had the book, and he's bringing a quote directly from the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. See, it says like this. Rav Noson's quoted this quotation, and Rav Noson quotes this a lot. This quotation from the Or HaChaim, from Sefer Amidot, which is the source from the Or HaChaim, Rav Noson says it a lot, because look what it says. You'll understand why he quotes it a lot. Lo tikanes im pituyecha betoen v'nit'an. Don't start going into an argument with the temptations of the Yetzer Hara with an argument to'en v'nit'an, back and forth. Don't start arguing with the Yetzer Hara. Why? Because you, just by thinking about it in the argument, ki arichat hargashat hachoshev, because the length of allowing for room for the feeling of the person who's thinking about the thought, which he doesn't want to think about, for example, forbidden thoughts, like immoral thoughts, afilu lebichinat sholel, even if your intent is to put it down, not to accept it, but the fact that you allowed it into your head and has time for you to think about it, tif'al hagbarat hachefetz, it causes for an increase in the item that you're trying not to think about and not to get involved with, v'titapech haratzon elav, and chas v'shalom, the ratzon to do it, to fall into it, will turn into the person. The quotation is from the Or HaChaim. The Or HaChaim, it's Parashat, amazing, Vayikra, chapter 18, verse 2. And it's a word for word from the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. Okay? So Rebbe Nachman got it from there. But the quote is used by rest of literature referring to the Aleph Bet book. Okay? So now, this is what Rebbe Nachman says, quoting the Or HaChaim. And Rav Nosson says like this. Ulekayem, he says like on the last point, and don't look back. Don't look back at all. Did I do right? Did I do wrong? Because even thinking about that, the negativity of the situation, just allowing for your mind to have a time lapse of thinking about it, allows it to enter into you and make you feel guilty and bad and negative. And all the more so when it's talking about forbidden thoughts, chas v'shalom. That's why it's under the chapter of immorality. In the Aleph Bet book, Rebbe Nachman put it in the chapter of immorality because it's talking about forbidden thoughts. Rav Noson's applying it even to things that happened already. And you start thinking about it, you start feeling bad. Don't think about it at all. That's what he said. Whatever happened already, any situation, don't look back. Stop. Don't even begin. And ulekayem, and fulfill what it's written in the Aleph Bet book. Don't start getting involved with the enticing thoughts and argumentation of Yetzer Hara with to'en v'nitan. Maybe yes, maybe no. Yeah, I did the right thing, I did the wrong thing. Yeah, but he said this and I said that. Don't even start. Okay? But now, what happens if it happens by itself? The thought just comes to you. You know where this happens the most? I'm sorry to tell you. It's crazy. In the morning. The Pasuk says in Tehillim, V'tochachti la bekarim. King David says in Tehillim, my rebuke is every morning. Why? Rebbe Nachman says in lesson 60, the day starts very narrow, and as the day progresses, it starts advancing. When you wake up in the morning, you're not yourself yet. Yeah, getting out of bed, and the day starts tough. I admit, for a person to get out of bed to go to davening, I think is as big a miracle as the splitting of the Red Sea or of the resurrection of the dead, at least for me. Okay? The morning is such dinim. It's so difficult, okay? And not only that, but the thoughts, all of a sudden negative thoughts, they attack most of the time in the morning. You just got out of bed, you had a bad dream, or you're not yourself yet. So you're not like you haven't learned Torah in the day to give you a good attitude. You haven't gone to the mikveh yet. You haven't davened Kriyat Shema. You haven't put on tefillin. You didn't do your seder yom, which is meant to fill you up with light. Okay, the Torah and the mitzvah you're going to do are meant to fill you up. Before all that, you're just getting out of bed. So tochachti, the verse reads, and my rebuke is every morning. I'm being rebuked. In other words, all the negativity is attacking me in the mornings. Okay, so it happens. It comes to you suddenly. Look what Rav Nosson says. Ve'imu ba pitom kemachriach chas shalom. And if now the etzara, you see how he's jumping now? He went from one idea to another idea now. And if now the negative thoughts, they come to you unexpectedly, but pitom kemachriach chas shalom. Sorry, as if forcing you. No, I want you to think about this. He's like drilling a hole in your head. No, you have to think about it. You're trying to say, go away. I don't want to think about this now. No, you have to think about it. Go away. And he comes kemachriach, like he's forcing you to think about this. How could you do this to your son? Why did you do like that? Why did you waste 10 years in this stupid education? Look how he turned out. You got nowhere. But I don't want to think about this now. No, you have to think about it. Look. You're suffering every day because and the Yetzirah is driving you nuts and drilling a hole in your head. Okay, kemachriach, chas shalom. So Nosson says, ma la'asot. Okay, what can you do? Ones rachmana patre. What can you do when that happens? Someone who's anus, someone who's forced, like this was forcing you, so you're exempt. It's not your fault, okay? And at that time, that you can't daven. Like sometimes the negative thought steals your whole shacharit. You're trying to daven shacharit, but this negative thing, I can't believe he said that to me. I can't believe I did that. The whole davening lost on one stupid thought. And then as soon as you finish davening, the thought goes away. Like, oh, where are you now? Oh, it's okay. I did my job. I don't have to bother you anymore. You try to think about the negative thought. It doesn't bother you anymore like it did during your davening. Crazy it's how he works with things, okay? So he says, Manas, that happens in life sometimes, okay? And you're not held responsible. You can tell Hashem, what do you want from me? I got to shul. I opened my mouth. I opened the siddur. I started my davening. And this thought comes to me in the middle. What do you want from me, Hashem? Or B'kot HaShachar. I'm trying to say B'kot HaShachar, and it's all the brachas I'm thinking about the same negative thought. So you tell Hashem, and when it comes to final judgment, you're going to judge me for that. He came with like a gun in his head. What do you want with me? That the thoughts come to me like that. So if no son understands that, he says, what can you do? It happens, you're anus in life. Okay. But when that happens, so then what do you do when that happens? Rak ata titchazek besimcha. Nonetheless, when you see you're being attacked with such negative thoughts trying to force their way into your head, you just make sure to reinforce yourself with simcha, no matter what. Don't let them make you feel guilty. Don't let them make you feel weighed down. Okay, it happened and it's happening. But now, is it justified, the feeling of negativity? Is that justified now? That feeling of anxiety and depression, that's the byproduct. Is it justified now? He's saying, "Ata titchaz b'simcha v'livrach b'chol kochacha b'gneva or b'hesach hadat," and run with all your strength like a robber, like a thief. B'hesach hadat. Try to switch to something. Tell stupid jokes. Get your mind off of it by even other things that are just, if anything, if it's to watch a commercial, or it's to go for a walk, or to tell a joke, or put on some music, or talk about this. Just get it off. Do it like b'gneva. Do it in a way that's like cunning to get your way out of the negative guilt feeling that the Yetzirah is trying to give you with the negative thought. Al pi kol darchei ha'etzot v'aremazim v'atchaskut she'ora otanu hu zal. Period. Amazing. Using all of the ways of advice and the hints. Rabbi Nachman never sometimes didn't say something explicitly, but he hinted to the idea. He doesn't say clearly, and you want to say, so what are you trying to get to? And you see, Rabbi Nachman is purposely not trying to say it. He's trying to say it in like in a hidden hint format, and you got the hint. I got the idea what he's trying to say, and to convey, and I can use it now to deal with the situation. So using, Rav Nosson says, do hesach hadat, go distract yourself. If it's like we said, telling jokes, putting on music, dancing, going to work, going for a jog, doing something to get you off of the negative feeling that is trying to sink in, chas v'shalom, because of the thoughts that are overwhelming you. Using, he says, Rav Nosson, all of the pathways of the advice and the hints and the encouragement that Rabbi Nachman instructed us, blessed be he, the blessed memory. Okay? So this paragraph says a lot. Okay? And Rav Nosson is just telling his son, you're so lucky that you're able to remind yourself while being weighed down, burdened by the what's it called? The overwhelming responsibilities of the shidduch. You were able to write a letter and also to learn Gemara. To come to that can only be through this, that you don't let yourself get weighed down, because he's saying here that you can't say, oh, you can't justify you're not doing these things because, okay, I just started doing the shidduch and this and that. What you can blame is you say, I'm being overwhelmed by it, and the overwhelming part is not necessary. In other words, being weighed down and then taken away from doing what I have to do. And obviously, if it's going to weigh me down, I'm going to be negative for sure. So that can't happen. In other words, if you say you're overwhelmed, but it's besimcha, that's something else. But the overwhelmingness Rav Nosson's getting to is it makes you feel bad. So there's no mitzvah because you're shopping for Shabbos now. You have to be such a dork. You have to be so cool to people. Person like Shabbos shopping, move. I have to buy my stuff and everything. Don't talk to me now. Do you have to be? You're doing a mitzvah now. Shabbos shopping, they say. But now you're negative because of it, and so is that the right thing? It's one thing you're doing a mitzvah, you're doing the Shabbos, but now you have a negative attitude because of it. Well, what is that? That's not part of the mitzvah. That's your addition. That's your, this and this and that. You got to do things not to lead to that. But if it came to that, and now you're negative to people, no, pick up the groceries. I asked you to help me already. Come on, where are you? And this and that. But it's a mitzvah. It's for Shabbos. There's no simcha in this. What is this? So that part you have to try to steer away from. That part, he's saying, you have to find simcha, not to fall in that trap of being overwhelmed by the byproduct of being busy. In other words, the anxiety, confusion, frustration, which are byproducts of doing things that you have to do, that you have to avoid. How? Simcha. And he said, and even if the thoughts come to you, what can you do? Like I said at the end, like negative thoughts come to weigh you down, but try to steal, to remember that this is not good, this is not healthy. It's not spiritually healthy. I have to get out of this. I can't say, but I'm doing a mitzvah now, so I'm overwhelmed, and therefore I can't talk to my friends now. I don't leave me alone. Well, what is this negativity? The whole idea is to bring you to be more simcha, not to bring you down. If it is bringing you down, so then you have to work to get out of it. So he's praising his son again that he did the right thing. He could have said, I'm now overwhelmed by the negativity of the shidduch, of the anxiety, the result, and the frustrations, confusion, and therefore I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to do this and that. He could say that, but he was impressed with his son. He remembered, I have to write this letter. And to write a letter to Yassi, I have to say the right words. To say the right words, I have to be in the right frame of mind. To be in the right frame of mind, I have to be besimcha. So he's able, forcingly, to remember this is the ikar, this is the goal of life, and was able to do that. And then he remembered, I have time to learn Gemara also now. And all of a sudden it opened, like we said in last class, it opened up the doors for other things, and that's how it is. So the test seems to be overwhelming because you're allowing for it to weigh you down. So what you need to do is to be besimcha. Like I said, I gave about 6 or 7 things you can do to get out of it. You want to learn now, you can't learn now. And then you start feeling guilty. You see, you can't learn now. So don't learn, talk to Hashem. But my head is not here, so do a krechts. Doesn't work. Be besimcha. I'm a Jew, it doesn't work. Call a friend. Hey, how's it going? I just need some chizik right now. Can I talk to you right now? It's okay? Okay? Or you have a business thing you want to talk about? Speak to him about it. But get out. It's an amazing, and Rav Nosson listed many things to say, if this doesn't work, then try this. In other words, like I always say, Rebbe Nachman's cards never run out. This, no, say try this. Okay, then we'll try this, and it's like you can try many things. You can't say I tried everything and I'm nothing. I'm gonna be negative. I'm gonna be Oscar the Grouch, remember, or the I hate Smurfs, the guy who was like, right? You can choose to be like that or keep on trying. Okay, Rebbe Nachman says, and sometimes you try, but the thoughts, and what can you do? Keeps on drilling a hole. So then Gneva, try to find a way out. But to stay negative, there's no mitzvah. There's no mitzvah like this. Okay, all right. Stop here. All this is a preparation for the last section of this letter. Everything that was in this letter is to get to the last paragraph here, B'ezrat Hashem, of letter 441, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay. Thank you for joining. Thank you for calling.